Welcome to Ripple's price prediction, where we're going to look at XRP's price and its target. We need to look at whether Ripple has found its support and if it's getting close to jump, because some people are saying it's gearing up for its biggest bull rally in years, and that would be awesome. What would be the target that this Ripple XRP, as many know it as, would be? Where would it go? What if it is going to be in that big bull rally? Where would it go? As we know, Ripple has been in the news because it's been trying to make some making some headlines with the suits that it had, because it was potentially a security and so on and so forth. And even though we don't look at news a whole lot, we know that it can be what sparks a huge jump, either up or down. Now, those are good news right now. They've had some really good news lately, so it's very possible that it could be finding a support where we can actually take some opportunity and possibly catch that run. And if it's a huge run, if it is the biggest bull rally in years, it's going to be exciting. So you definitely want to stick around to the end, because we're going to point all of that out to you as we go. And of course, this is not financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. So make sure that you consult with your own financial consultant if you're thinking of investing in something like that. All right, let's get started with the charts. Let's go take a look. So the first thing we're going to look at is the larger pattern. This is a huge period of time that we've taken a look at all the way back since 2017. And as you can see, there's a huge triangle here, or wedge, as many would call it, that it's been sort of stuck in, and it couldn't get past that last time. And now we're saying, is it going to come all the way down to the bottom? It is possible, though. We need to take a closer look at some of the support, resistance, and some of the shorter patterns that we'll see. So let's go ahead and zoom in a little. So within this bigger pattern, we see that it's actually been in a little bit of a downtrend, and it seems to be settling into a little bit of a sideways trend, which could actually end up being a really good thing if it sits in this range, because from there, or anywhere even a little bit lower, because it will actually give it more support for it to have a much bigger jump. So let's put up some of these supports and see where we can find some of that support. Or if it was to drop down, how far would it go? If it were to drop down to what we were talking about before, we're looking at a 65% potential drop. Now, we don't want to see that at all. We want to see it find support. So let's take a closer look and see what we can find. The near support we're finding here is somewhere in that 58 to 45 cent mark. And if it can stay within that zone, even somewhere in the middle, as we see these lows down here, it's stopped a couple of times there. That could be a really good sign to try to push its way back up. And if that is the case, if we're moving up, where would it find some resistance if it did jump from here? Two zones where it would definitely find some resistance would be right between that 87 cents to $1, and then on the upper part that we need to get past would be between $1.50 and a previous high there of almost $2. So those are areas to definitely watch out for if we were going to take this to the upside. If we were to break to that downward support that it has down, we talked about that 65% that it could get down in here, but we're hopefully that if they have a really good result on their case and that gives it enough spark in news, then it could have a nice jump up. So we're definitely looking for that. So what we want to do is we want to take a closer look right now at what has been the retracements from a Fibonacci perspective. And as we see here, we have a very nice 78.6% pullback that it hit it already once. It almost touched it there before. And if it manages to stop there, we could definitely see some of the jumps into getting past the first zone and possibly into the second zone. So we're going to set some targets in just a little bit to take a look at if that is where we want to go. But there is a much bigger opportunity if it does break up about those, and we want to make sure we take a look at that too. If we take the most recent all-time highs that we had right up in here into that $2 range, and we were to break above that, the next range that we're looking at is the possibility of that 275 to about 335. We definitely could run into some trouble there. However, if we are looking at a super cycle, now we got to zoom in even more. So let me do that so I can show you where potentially we would be looking at that last resistance. So the last resistance from this last high, if it was to do a super cycle from there, it would be roughly in this area between 565 to just about 685 or so. However, stick around because there is a much bigger gain, and we're going to target that one in just a moment, because when we zoom out a little bit more, we can see from the entire zooming out of the entire position, if we take from the lowest lows that we've seen to the highest, well, not the super lowest, but definitely very low point, 600ths of a cent of a dollar, then 6,000, then we are looking at a much bigger super cycle. And this is probably why they're talking about the biggest bull rally that there has been. And if that's the case, then we're looking at numbers roughly in the area of between $10 to $12. So where do you catch it, and where do you actually head into, and where might we see some trouble? Let's go ahead and do some of these forecasts and see what we think. Assuming we came in at the very bottom of the support, where we are, let me move this up just a teeny bit and zoom in a little bit, around 45 cents. And if we find some support anywhere around there, and it decides to try to break to the upside, that is a 3x, so 330% approximately if it hits that top, which is very likely to challenge it one more time. Now, if it goes from there and it breaks through and it tries to get up into this region, even the middle of it, right, that's around 590%, which makes it really exciting, obviously, right? And if it is a super cycle of this little bump right here, then we are talking into this region right here around 1200%, which is super, super exciting. Now, when they talk about the mother of all, then we're talking about way up into here, and that is 2300%, assuming that we are finding the support here. Now, if it gets even lower, because if it drops that extra 65% that we talked about and it comes down into this range right here, then that makes almost double that, because now we're looking at 4600%, and that is nuts. Obviously, if you're going to catch that, we need to wait for it to drop. So it may not be such a bad thing that it drops and it stays within that zone, so for it to eventually break out. And if that's the case, we may be in a waiting period, sort of like this one right here, where we may have to wait a little while before it does a big jump. But would it be worth the wait? I would think so, but it's up to you. You have to consult with your own financial consultant to see if that is right for you. If you like this video, go ahead and click the subscribe button and hit that notification so you can be notified of the next updates that we do.